And before we continue with today's session, it is so important that we do an acknowledgement of traditional lands. Royal Roads University acknowledges that the campus is located on the traditional lands of the Cosetsim, the Esquimalt, and Lekwungen Songhees ancestors and families. It is with gratitude that we now learn and work here, where the past, present, and the future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, faculty, and staff come together. Welcome. So hopefully everybody's in the right room today. Today's session is on the Master of Global Management. If you're not in the right room, you should stick around anyway. We'll be talking all about the program, and the more the merrier. So in the room today, I have Dr. Deb Linehan, who is the program head. I have Tim Kituri, who's the program manager. And my name is Imara Angus, and I'm an education specialist. And as I mentioned, we also have our knowledgeable enrollment team behind the scenes monitoring the chat. I think they introduced themselves in there already. We also have Selena in the background who's there to support with any tech related questions. So you can always direct message her in the chat. So today's agenda, I'll welcome and get to know one another. I know we're doing that right now. We also have a really quick poll. So I will ask everybody to look up at their screens and I'm going to launch a poll for you. Okay. Give me a thumbs up, actually, if you see the poll, or just start answering it, and I'll know you can see it. So the question of the poll is, which MGM program delivery option are you interested in? And the options that we have are MGM on campus, MGM blended, which is a combo of online and residency. Don't worry, we will go into more detail later. And not sure yet, which is also totally okay. That can be a really good reason to be here to determine which program offering is best for you. And the other question in the chat is, what piqued your interest in the MGM program? So what made you interested in taking the program or learning more about it? So either the delivery options available on campus, and you can select more than one, program completion options, personal interest, transitioning, changing careers, have an international connection or background, and other. If you select other, please pop it in the chat. Very curious to know what your answer would be if we haven't listed it here. Awesome. So I'll give it about 5 more seconds because I know that's a lot of reading. And then I will close the poll. So like I said, you can select more than one of the following drop-down options if more than one apply to you. Ooh, okay. It looks like it's slowing down. I'm going to end the poll now. And I'm going to share the results so we can all have a look. So it looks like we have about 75% of the people in the room today interested in the MGM on campus, and about 25% interested in the MGM blended. And then we're all over the charts for what piqued people's interest in the MGM program. So hopefully we'll be able to elaborate further on those different topics throughout today's session. Well, thank you so much for your input. So what else we'll do today is a brief overview of the Royal Roads University experience. We'll go through program information, application process and requirements. And as I mentioned, if you have questions, pop them in the chat. We'll answer them throughout, and we'll also answer them at the very end during a question and answer period. Okay, so many of you here are wondering why explore Royal Roads University? So here at Royal Roads, we have been built differently from day one. We see life as a qualification. So we know that every single individual in this room and everyone applying to the program comes from a different background. They have different life experience, a different career, and that's what makes you special. And we do our best to learn that about you because it's all about profs who know your name. So that means you're more than a student number for us here at Royal Roads. We do our best to get to know your name and your story quickly. And it's really all about learning based on life. And you'll find that out in our flexible admission policy. We have both a standard and a flexible admission policy. And we'll go into that in more detail later, but we really accept your credentials from both your previous post-secondary experience as well as your life experience. And here at Royal Roads, we have a cohort model. So you will meet people from all around the globe and you will build these connections for life. And we were really built differently from day one, and we're going to talk more about that throughout today's session. So Royal Roads University is also a changemaker campus. So you might wonder, what does it mean to be a changemaker campus? It means that we recognize that We really believe that here at Royal Roads, we believe in leading and empowering others to lead positive change in the world. And that's something that's built into all of our programs here. And our location, Victoria, BC, give me a heart emoji if you've been here before. So you can just use the reactions feature. Have you been to Victoria, British Columbia before? I'm curious to know. And if you haven't been here yet, but you really want to come visit, give me a heart emoji. So you can use the reactions feature for that. All right. Well, it's a beautiful place. So hopefully we see lots of people coming to visit or joining our program on campus. So we're located in Victoria, BC, Canada. We are on an island. We're on Vancouver Island. The closest nearest cities are Vancouver and Seattle. And the top 3 industries here in Victoria are advanced technology, tourism and hospitality, and education. And we have a pretty mild climate here all year round. You can go for hikes and bike rides almost any day of the year. And it's beautiful. If you are interested in surfing, you only have to drive a few hours away to find a beautiful surf spot. And there's beaches surrounding the whole island. And here are some more images of our space. So on the top left, you'll see an image that is Hatley Castle. In the top right, you'll see an image of our gardens here on campus. They're beautiful. That's the Japanese garden. They're beautiful gardens that you can walk around. The whole campus is actually stunning. You can walk around kilometers and kilometers of trails around the perimeter of the campus. And the bottom left is our the lagoon that we look out at. That is called a Esquimalt Lagoon. And the bottom right photo is just an ode that we have been teaching and learning online for over 25 years. So now I'm so pleased to welcome Deb and Tim to speak more about the program structure.
Well, hello and welcome to the session today. I'm so grateful to hear that you're interested in the MGM program. We're pretty excited about it. We love this program and the students that are in it. It's such an interesting one because of the international flavor of it. Both Tim and I are graduates of Royal Roads University as well. And so we've been working and learning here for many years, and we're, I guess, converts to the idea of lifelong learning. I did my doctorate in social science and also an MBA. And I'm the program head for the Master's Global Management Program. Tim Kituri.
Thanks, Deb. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Tim Kituri, MGM Program Manager. It's a pleasure to be here and welcome you all, speak about this amazing program in an amazing university. Like Deb, I'm a graduate. I've been at Royal Roads for 15 years, working in different capacities, 8 years in the MGM as program manager. I did my master's in intercultural communication here and graduate certificate in executive coaching and a few other courses here and there. So MGM Royal Roads is near and dear to my heart, and I was so happy to speak about my experience and specifically what we do to support students in this journey. Thank you.
Okay, so what is it, the Master of Global Management? I mean, we say this, imagine yourself doing business around the world and navigating diverse cultures in a global marketplace. That's a good snapshot, but it's so much more. Think about the layers of your cultural knowledge, the experience that you've had internationally. Our experience with Master's Global Management student is that they've lived all over the world. They've had such interesting experiences, work and personal. And even, Canada. Canada is a multicultural nation, changing in such dynamic ways that having a Master of Global Management, having that knowledge, that background, that interest, and combining with graduate education, a business education is so important as leaders. What does it mean to be a global manager and as leaders of diverse employee groups? So as you can tell, we're in love with the Master Global Management Program as being so relevant and so important. Thank you, Amara. So how does it work? The program delivery options, well, now obviously we've been through pandemic for the last year and a half, 2 years. and turned everything on its head. But as Amara mentioned, we were very comfortable with online education, having done it for 25 years. As we navigate back to our more normal options, this is what it looks like. The majority of our students are on campus in an 18-month program. And I think it's a wonderful foray for those folks just coming new to Canada to integrate to the country, to build their networks, to meet people from all over the world, and to have that dynamic experience of on campus and building relationships and being in the classroom. But, you know, we're very comfortable with in the classroom, in a Zoom or in a Collaborate room or in a variety of platforms too. And so we combine in our blended delivery. This blended delivery is, I think, well suited for folks who want to continue to work. But as you kind of said in the opening poll, you're in a transition, you're thinking about new career. And so a graduate education is that boost to get you to the next level. So a blended delivery in that sense is quite handy. There's most of the program online and a 2-week residency at the beginning and ending of the program. All of the program in terms of curriculum and content are exactly the same though. We have 12 core courses that are your foundation in terms of a business education. And then we turn you loose into completion options. This is where you get to explore all of the things that you're truly interested in. And Tim will talk about that a little bit later. So let's go a little bit deeper into what the program structure looks like. On the face of it, very simple. So whether you're in blended or on campus, you'll have a foundation period. This is usually a couple of weeks where we introduce you to the Army, the team behind us, everyone at Railroads who's there to support your education, whether it's from the library or student services, you know, even all the services on campus, acquainting you with the grounds. So this foundation period is to get you used to your educational platforms, get you back into the mode of thinking about school, if it's been a few years, and get you set up for success, basically. And then we launch into our, in the on-campus structure, 4 on-campus quarters. It goes hard and fast. You'll note at the bottom there, it says 12 to 18 months. There is a possibility to do everything in 12 months, but we're not. Usually it's for students who have some of the, some prerequisites already done. The vast majority, 99%, do it in 1.5 years. And it includes this 4 on-campus quarters of the 12 courses, the core courses. And then that last 6 months of, you know, exploring other specializations that are of interest to you. So that's a snapshot of the on-campus program. And we'll just move over to the blended structure. Very, very similar. You'll get a foundations period, you know, where you reorient you to the university, and this residency. So 2 weeks in Victoria on campus with some online education before those 2 weeks and after those 2 weeks, and you'll start your courses. And then you'll go back home, and then you've got 3 quarters of online courses. And then at the final quarter of your program, you'll come back and you'll do an international residency, not to Victoria, but at a location yet to be announced. You'll have an experiential residency where you're visiting some plants and companies all around the world. You have 2 courses that you're doing at that time: supply chain management and change management. And really, I guess, applying your learning in the workplace. So where have we been in the past? We've been to Germany, and we've been to Turkey, and we've been to Asia, and we've been lots of different places. During COVID, unfortunately, we were unable to do that, but we hope now that we're back to normal. And then, as with the on-campus program, then we go back to our completion options where we set you free to kind of explore those, the strategic goals that you may have. So those are snapshots of both the on-campus and the blended program. The curriculum content is the same. We do have students that, you know, have jumped back and forth into these various programs as well. So the value of the education is exactly the same in both delivery options. Just wanted to make sure that that part is understood. And then we just have the structure modified for your personal situation, what works for you. So let's have a look at those completion options, and Tim's gonna chat about that for a minute.
Yes, thank you. The beauty of the MGM is it's a generalist program, so we don't have any specialization. So other programs at a graduate level could specialize in finance, accounting, any of those topical areas, but the MGM is generalist, which means the people that are attracted to the program are coming from very, very diverse backgrounds. You have engineers, doctors, in that professional capacity, people in marketing and every imaginable profession and career is attracted to the program. And so in the completion option is where a student, you can really hone and specialize your application of the program. It is a very applied, professionally oriented program. So all of these completion options are in that vein. So the first one we would be looking at would be a global management project, a GMP, which is akin to a research project, a thesis, and maybe other worlds, but these are very academic titles. And we want you to think about a research topic that is of personal interest to you. And I see from the poll that it is the biggest driver for all of us here is this personal interest. 67% are thinking of this education from a personal interest perspective. So GMP, the Global Management Project, can help you sink your teeth into a subject that is meaningful, that is applied, and you would work with a faculty member to look at academic theory and application in a practical way and come away with a research paper that we have seen many of our students end up publishing in professional and sometimes academic journals. So that is a popular option that is available in either the 12 or the 18-month delivery. The next is an internship research project. It is a popular option because many of our students are looking at career changes, career transitions. Some have a little bit, want to bolster some of the work integration. And so an internship is a research option that requires a placement in an organization. So you're working and coming away with research work. It is, there's a preparation course, the internship prep, better known as our career management course, that runs in your quarters 3 and 4. And this option is only for the 18-month delivery. We support the student by providing the tools and the skills to attract internships and find meaningful placements that can support a research project as well. Last but not least is graduate certificates and course-based options. There are so many graduate certificates at Royal Roads that lend to professional outcomes. And we'll look in the next few slides at some of the professional associations that our graduate certificates align with. So you could complete the MGM by taking a graduate certificate and or some courses within the program. So one of the main subjects that we talk about in the foundations piece of the program is the completion options, when they apply, how to access them, what are the prerequisites for many of the options. And we have all of that built into the first piece of the program. And the other side of the MGM is that it is very practical and very applied, and that means it is recognized by industry. One of the partnerships that we have is with FIT, Forum for International Trade Training. This is a certification. The CITP, Certified International Trade Practitioner, is a certification that is very, very useful in international trade. It is also very interesting and used by foreign service workers, so people in the diplomatic corps, so people that are thinking of international business. The FIT is the organization that that provides the credential for that, and it recognizes the MGM as meeting the academic requirements of the certification. So part of it is academic work, which is through the MGM, practical experience in the workforce, and some form of research work and an exam maybe that could be a combination. And in the next slide, I'll talk about the other organizations that recognize the not only MGM but the graduate certificates that that line up with our completion option. So we have a project management, a graduate certificate in project management that aligns with the Project Management Institute. So the PMI recognizes the graduate certificate at Royal Roads as meeting those academic requirements, same as the Human Resource International Coach Federation and Change Management Professional. So the graduate certificates that could be selected as a completion options could align and do align with these professional designations. And again, that just emphasizes that applied nature of the MGM and Royal Roads education. And the next slide is, I think, one of my favorite slides about thinking of the program, MGM, and learning at Royal Road. It is that we teach to learning outcomes. So with all of the academic content and course content is the learning outcome, communication, effective communication, critical thinking, problem solving, working with others, innovation, thinking globally. Those are tools and skills and requirements that leaders and anybody that wants to be advanced needs to be able to work through. And in the MGM, those are the learning outcomes we teach to. And this is, I remember a few years back, we took a group of students to IBM in downtown Victoria. They have an office branch here that that was very integral to the healthcare and IT services for healthcare in, I think, most of British Columbia. And the students were sitting in a boardroom and they Skyped in the HR, the head of HR from Toronto, and picture our MGM students sitting in this boardroom. The monitor is on, and they're asking questions of this IBM HR, vice president of HR for IBM Canada. And they asked, what are you looking for in a candidate, in somebody that you're hiring? And he went through all of our learning outcomes. He said, I am looking for people that can communicate effectively, that can think critically, that can solve problems, and work with others who are innovative and can think globally. And the students were looking at me wondering if I had prepped the vice president of HR for IBM with our program learning outcomes, but that's not the case. And it is, when we talk to our alumni, they come back time and again and say that it is the ability to really master these learning outcomes that lends to success personally and professionally. I think Deb has the.
Thanks so much, Tim. That's a good story, right? But I think these are the learning outcomes are what really sustains our education and maintains its relevancy. And these are sort of universal learning outcomes. Doesn't matter what culture you're from, you still need to work with others, communicate effectively, and we can, those are lifelong learning goals for sure. So kind of as a summary of the program, we have a saying here, life.changing, and I think it is. It's interesting when you looked at the original poll that Amara put up, how many of you are kind of looking at that transition. You're at a point in your life where you're ready for that change. And we do find that, it's transformational for people. It's really the luxury of learning and lifelong learning helps us to continue as grow as human beings. But to just summarize the MGM program, is that academic rigor of an MBA, but different. It's not an MBA because overlaid on every course, all the curriculum is all the complexities of international and global business. And intercultural competencies. We expect that you come away from the program having built your intercultural competencies and having a much more nuanced idea of what it means to be a global manager, which is one of the most difficult, not tasks, but the most difficult to achieve. So that international focus, and Tim went through some of the partnerships that we have with associations. So really you're getting a dual accreditation on your resume or CV. You'll have your MGM plus, you know, whether it's a project management certificate or an executive coaching certificate or in human resources, or we just recently are introducing a finance certificate. So multiple accreditations. These, I think, are important for employers. They signal your intention, your specialization, and the fact that you continue to upgrade your skills, and just kind of sets you apart from the average person. The graduate research is really cool. Tim mentioned our students and the work they're doing. I'm so proud of them. I think we've had 8 students now publish their work. They're working directly with faculty too, and they're really, especially through COVID, tackling some of these world problems that are just, they're tough, right? And so it's very differentiating to be able to go to an employer and fly your colors, your skills in terms of being able to do research and apply your skills to, you know, problem solving, which is one of the learning outcomes. The blended and on-campus delivery options, I think, gives us, you know, that flexibility of the program. And importantly, the cohort-based learning model keeps us all together, builds those relationships. As Amara said, lifelong learning. And we do find a lot of people come to the program because they have that background, that interest. They have a cultural knowledge. Your multicultural competency is something that really is important to be leveraged as a value to Canadian society and organizations. So I think this is the right place for you. Okay, and so life.changing. What do people do afterwards? So they work in a variety of organizations. As Tim said, this is a generalist program. So you'll find people are in finance, technology, IT, because we have a big IT component here in Victoria. It's, I think, our largest industry now, tourism. Some have worked at Railroads University and at the other university campuses around town, and industry. So a variety of organizations that they end up working in. And as the next slide shows, a variety of professions as well. Yeah, so it's not a one size fits all. It's meant to tailor to your particular situation. And one of the things that I always recall Tim saying is be strategic, think in advance. You can go ahead, Amara, about what you want to accomplish from the program. And this time is for you. So I think we have over to you to say, if you're interested, how to apply.
Thank you so much, Deb and Tim. And that was a great story, Tim, about the IBM. I love hearing that kind of thing. It's so great to hear that alignment between what people are learning in the program and preparing them for their future careers. So now we're at how to apply. Just a quick check-in. Can you give me a thumbs up reaction if everybody's kind of interested in me continuing on talking about how to apply? Awesome. Great. Perfect. And I should mention that Kelsey and Tracy are in the room as well. So sometimes when it comes to really individual application requirements, we always recommend reaching out to our enrollment team to make sure that you're getting the answers that you need. So here is an overview of how to apply. So as mentioned earlier, we have both standard admissions and flexible admissions. We have them all outlined on our website as well, but I'm just going to quickly go through them here. So there is the standard admission requirement of a completion of a 4-year or comparable undergraduate degree in a related field with a minimum GPA of a B, and that's from a recognized post-secondary institution. We also require a minimum of 2 years of relevant full-time work experience when not enrolled in school, and preferably with some supervisory or management experience. And applicants who do meet the degree requirements, but not the GPA requirement, will normally be required to take academic writing and critical thinking and obtain a minimum final grade of a B. So this is our standard admissions. And something I want to mention right away is don't self-select yourself out. Make sure you connect with us if you have any questions of whether or not it's applicable for the standard or the flexible. So here is the flexible admissions here. So applicants with an undergraduate degree, but more than 3 years of related post-secondary education with an average below a B should have at least 4 years of relevant full-time work experience, including some management experience. And in the case of applicants with 2 to 3 years of related post-secondary education, they should have at least 6 years of relevant full-time work experience, including at least 2 years in a management role. And for applicants with less than 2 years of related post-secondary education, they should have at least 10 years of relevant full-time work experience, including at least 5 years in a management role. And we have people coming through to the program with both standard and flexible admissions. So we also do have a language requirement at Royal Roads University. English is the primary language of instruction. So if your primary language is not English, you must meet our English language requirements through one of 3 ways. And we have more details listed on the website, but kind of a quick overview, either through the submission of an official English language proficiency score or graduation from a college or university at which English was the primary language of instruction in an English-speaking country, or completion of a pathway program through the Global Learning and Language Center at Royal Roads. And I can see that there's more links being popped in the chat, so you can definitely check those out. So key dates, and we keep our website up to date with these key dates, so always refer there. We have a few intakes for the MGM, and the next intakes for the on-campus 12 and 18-month option. For the May 2nd, 2022 intake, the application deadline is February 2nd, 2022. And if you're looking a little bit further and you want to be a part of the September 5th, 2022 intake, you want to submit your application by June 6th, 2022. And I should mention, these are our deadlines. You can submit your application right now. If it's ready to go, submit it, because we'll assess and look at the applications when they're submitted. So you do not have to wait for the application deadline. And if you're interested in the blended 19-month option that starts September 5th, 2022, you'll want to submit your application by June 6th, 2022. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if it does. And if anybody has any questions, pop them in the chat, because we want to make sure we're giving you the answers that you need. Okay, so continuing with how to apply, you're going to want to start an online application on our website. And to start this up, there's a fee of $128.81. You're going to create this profile, and then you're going to submit some supporting documents. And I'm going to do an overview, and then I'm going to invite Deb and Tim to kind of add any other information that they look for when they see these supporting documents. But what we have is a request for an official transcript. So what that means is any of your past post-secondary grades, we want them submitted to us by official transcript, either in a sealed envelope or by email. We're also accepting. And you'll also need to submit a detailed resume. So what we mean by a detailed resume is beyond what you would submit if you're, say, applying for a job. We want to know more about you. We want to know all about your education background and experience. We want to know your work experience. We want to know if there's any progressions in your work experience, any training, professional development that you've done, any voluntary experience, any unpaid work experience. any information technology training and experience that you have, as well as professional memberships and affiliation. And in your resume, this is where you would add any information that you think we should know when we're considering your application. In addition, also a statement of intent. So what we mean by statement of intent is really your why. And I recently applied for a program at Royal Roads University, and I enjoyed writing my statement of intent because it really solidified why I was applying to the program. Like, what was in it for me? What did I want to contribute? What did I want to get out of it? So in your statement of intent, you want to talk about what influenced your decision to apply to the MGM program. How have you gained the research, the writing, the critical thinking, the numeracy or accounting skills for success in this program? What do you hope to contribute to this program, to your peers and your future colleagues? And also, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? And we have this statement of intent, kind of what we want to know, outlined on our website. So you can just kind of follow along and answer those questions as you go. And a pro tip, we do require 2 letters of reference, and I recommend writing your statement of intent first and then sharing it with the people that are writing your letters of reference so they can really understand your why. So we do require 1 reference letter based on work or life experience and another based on any academic performance or community service. If needed, 2 work-related references are acceptable in certain cases. And Deb, I see you unmuted your mic there, so I'll welcome you to kind of add any context to any of this.
Oh, thanks, Amara. No, I mean, I just was getting ready for questions in general, but I think your point about the statement of intent, when we're looking at admissions, this is probably one of the most important documents because it shows your own sort of, strategic thought about where you're going, why now. And I find these documents so fascinating to read. We want to get the sense of you as people. And I think that our admissions team does an amazing job because the cohorts that do come in, I find the people are fascinating. And the diversity of the cohort is what makes the learning so interesting. I should have mentioned earlier, like what does a day in the life look like of a graduate student in MGM? If you're on the on-campus, you would come to class 3 courses at a time. So you come to class once per week for each course. You'd have a 3-hour session. But in that session, the cohort's very intimate. There may be 30 people. There's a lot of like in-depth discussion, sharing amongst the students, and that's when you get such rich learning. So the fact that we've admitted such interesting people from all walks of life, and they're sharing their stories, they're sharing their backgrounds, both their professional and personal experience is what really enlivens the education even more. So yes, it's important, and we're open to different approaches here. The flexibility is, I think, what adds to it. Yeah.
Thank you, Deb. So as we speak about how to apply, a question that comes up is financial aid. We understand that a program can be an investment. So while you're applying, I recommend looking into financial aid at this point because you can just kind of get a feel for what's available and what's out there. And our financial aid and award specialists have a lot of information they can share with you. If you check out the website, you can kind of see what would be the right fit for you. And you can check out things around loans, awards, scholarships, and other funding. So have a look at the website. I know that the enrollment team will pop it in the chat there for you, but now is the time to start investigating that. And application support. Our enrollment advisors, they've been answering questions throughout today's session, and they're here to answer questions in the future as well. So if you need any support or have any questions about program details, application walkthrough, standard or flexible admissions and transfer agreements, or anything else that you want to connect with us about, reach out to enrollment. And I listed here the contact information. So if you're within Canada, you want to reach out to the enrollment advisors at learn.more@royalroads.ca. And if you're coming from abroad, our international admissions and registration team, you want to reach out to them, and that's learn.more.international@royalroads.ca. And now we're jumping to our questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. I'm going to welcome Deb and Tim up, and we're going to start answering questions. So if you haven't popped one in the chat, we'll definitely, now's the time to do it.
Thank you. I've been trying to keep track, and thank you so much to our wonderful team. They've been busily typing away with answers. I just see the one from Carol and how this translates to the postgraduate work permit, both for the MBA on campus, which is new, going to be offered this next year in 2022, and the MGM on campus. The one thing to note about both these programs is they're considered full-time programs, but condensed. So, you know, what is 18 months is really a full 2 years worth of academic content condensed, and normally would apply for the full. I'll just let Kelsey jump in there on that.
Thanks, Deb. Sorry, my fingers aren't typing fast enough, but yes. So here at Royal Roads, we do have a team of certified immigration advisors, happy to answer any study permit related questions, including postgrad work permit eligibility. And typically our students in the MGM on campus program are eligible to apply for the 3-year postgrad work permit through Immigration Canada. And we will provide a supporting letter explaining that it is a condensed master's program that would typically be delivered over 2 years. And that's why, and there's no scheduled breaks during the program. So that's what visa officers are seeing that would make them eligible for the 3-year postgrad work permit. Hope that helps.
Yes, thank you. Do we get any relaxation? No, you're gonna work hard. Oh, I see. If you paid your tuition all in one go. No, is there a discount for paying it all up front? I don't think so, but I'll let my colleagues answer that. Anybody else with Tracy? It's all the same tuition regardless, right?
Yeah, and students have the option of paying it in an annual sum. So in this case, 2 sums, or as you go through the program. So you can pay, you're basically paying for your courses as you take them through the program. So that's the installment plan. There's an administration fee for the installment plan. So I guess in that case, perhaps it seems like there's a discount if you don't do the installment plan.
I was going to write a long story to Abhishek next, but I think I'll just say it out loud because there's some learnings for others. So you're coming in as a lawyer, Abhishek. Well, we have had lawyers in the MGM program, actually, several. And it's interesting, you know, your position, you're transitioning to a business career, and professionals can do that. Usually they take some part of their prior professional and leverage up on that. So did you, for example, did you have a specialization in family law and you want to do coaching, or did they have a specialization in, you know, corporate law and they want to do, you know, something about mergers and acquisitions, for example? There are ways to transition to a business career. And this is where you need to get strategic about which programs are going to, the overall MGM program will give that business education, and then strategically add on a grad cert or something that kind of signals to employer, you know, where you want to go with it. But yeah, we've had pharmacists and lawyers and dentists and teachers and all kinds of very interesting people. So it's very cool. And do people get jobs? The job market, I think, in Canada is very good now. I think Victoria had one of the lowest unemployment rates. Our tech field is growing quite a lot. We do encourage students, though, to think broadly across Canada. So a lot of students have moved to Vancouver, secured employment. Toronto is a big employment center, Calgary, Montreal. And, you know, you could work globally And you can live in Canada. Lots of people do that too. What are some other questions here?
Deb, there's a question that we get kind of frequently about being able to work at the same time. So do people in the program, do they work full time or do they work part time? What does that look like? Like, what kind of options do people have?
Well, you know, be careful is what we say, especially when you start your program. It's a pretty intense program because it's condensed. I mean, the benefit of that is that people can get through their program faster, but you do need to be kind to yourself. Those who are following IRCC guidelines, you know, can only work a maximum of 20 hours per week. And we find a lot of students will do that, but usually after the first quarter, like let yourself get settled, you know, especially if you're moving to a new country, you're setting up all your structure, you're finding a place to live. It's pretty intense. So I would say give yourself, have a little more funds available just to be kind about that working part. Domestic or students, you know, not with those restrictions, do work full time, but they once they get past the first residency, they're just doing 2 courses at a time. So it's still intense, right? Yeah, because you can count on 25 to 30 hours per week, study time, doing assignments, reading for your graduate education. So yeah, just to be kind to yourself. It's up to the student, of course, but
it is the blend, the online delivery is designed for people to work full time, but with the caveat that it is also a very demanding program. So the advice is to have conversations with your family and your employers and your communities at large to explain that there will be a chunk of time that you will have to devote 100% to the program. And then there's the point about speaking to your employers and make it relevant to you professionally as well. So one of our students, he's now coming back as an instructor in our doctorate program. He worked for a bank and he leveraged a lot of his classwork into his professional work so that he was able to make it useful. And so taking that time away from the office was also adding value to his professional world. And that's how he also got his employer to support his academic journey. So think about it as an additional value to work. I think sometimes students struggle when they compartmentalize and want to do full-time work, full-time school, and full-time parent and full-time everything. But having that understanding. And I would also mention that at Royal Roads, there's a lot of support from our student services, learning strategists, our office. My job is 100% to support students. So we work with students so much on figuring out the boundaries and how to make the program work, because we do realize that it is difficult and it takes a lot.
thank you, Tim. And I'm just going back to Deval Goel, asking, does the program pigeonhole you or push you to a certain industry or segment? And I would say absolutely not. This is what astounds me actually, is the diversity of professions that our students are prior to and after graduation. Yeah, so students are acquiring jobs in finance. There's a lot of finance, but that's what they wanted. IT, tourism, consulting. A lot of people came from the big, McKinsey and so on. So in the service industries as well, retail, wholesale, like there's a lot of startups in Victoria. We found quite a few students move to kind of operational supply, roles, office managers, looking at supply chain. And yeah, I can't say that it pushes you to in any one direction. Absolutely. It's what you want to achieve. On-campus opportunities, Harish was asking about, we do have a limited number of jobs on campus because we have the cafeteria, we have the rec center, and then we do have students who are successful in getting railroads internship jobs, working in various parts of the university. We do post on our website research assistant type jobs. Sometimes a faculty member will need someone to do some research for them part-time. Yeah, so there are some, although they're not as many of those. And I think you get a little more latitude in terms of the number of hours you can work. Kelsey could expand on that.
Yeah, so international student and study permit holder, you can work full-time on campus. So that's good news. I'll just post a link in the chat box here of where you can find our current job postings.
Thank you for that.
To confirm that there is accommodation for the residencies on campus, the short term.
Yes, thanks, Tracy. For residencies only. Yeah. We do have a student services program. They can provide references, I guess, for a student like childcare, some ideas there, but there is no daycare per se. Trying to think what other supports for young family. And we do have a lot of students who are coming with their families, of course. Do my colleagues have anything else to add there, maybe?
It is a common question, and as the team, as we're looking at class scheduling, we really try to take into account family life. It's not easy, that's the truth. But one option is to take a reduced load of classes, extends the program slightly, but those are options that students in the past have used to avail some time. So as we talk about the program, always remember that our job in the program office is to support students, and we are happy to help you look for some of these solutions, which would include a refined program structure to help you prioritize. And all of us are family oriented here as well, so we understand that that need. Not that it is very common, but once in a while, students have come into class with their kids, and they always welcome. They lend some flair and reality to the program. So as I think Amara said, don't self-select and feel that there's a scenario that limits you from being a graduate student at Railroads. We've been doing this for a long time. There's nothing we haven't seen, and we are always happy to help and support. And there are ways to achieve the goal that you set for yourself. And back to that question by Abhishek, what we talk about in foundations is to have an idea, a plan. Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? How do you want to achieve it? So that as you're working through, the road is uphill for the 18 months or 12 months that you're in the program. So knowing what it is you're taking out will give you value and will give you the support that you need. I'll just share one quick story about a lady that with her kids, and she was working through, her husband was I think in India at the time, and she had come in with her two boys, and she would sit with them and she would do her homework, they would do theirs, and they would work together in the program. And part of it was, she was saying that it taught them this hard work and the diligence that is required to succeed. And yeah, we were just on WhatsApp the other day, on LinkedIn, and sharing her story of how she has progressed and moved on. So do not self-select, connect with us, and we'll be happy to offer you some solutions.
Thank you, Tim, for sharing that story. And that's actually a perfect story to kind of wrap up our session with. Connect with us, don't self-select out. We're here to support you. If you have any further questions that we didn't answer in today's session, we're here to help. And I'll be sending a follow-up email with the recording of this webinar so that you can watch it again and share it with friends and family if you'd like. And Deb, want to invite you to share any final last words before we wrap the session up.
Yes, and there's a question from Deville about coming from a different country and, you know, how education is different. And yes, I was just about to write a story about that, but yes, it is going to be different. And but we help you with that. We talk about how the education system is a little bit different, and our method of teaching is different, and our model is different. But you have time to acculturate, to build your skills, and we look forward to inviting all of you to Railroads Victoria and the MGM program, and hope that that could be the beginning of the next great adventure in your life. And thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Tim. Thank you to our whole enrollment team behind the scenes. And thank you to everybody for taking the time to attend today's session. We very much look forward to hearing from all of you and hope you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever in the world you're joining us from.